A Gull's Clifftop Evening. From high above, the rolling waves glisten and twinkle as the evening sun reflects off the salt spray. Tones of amber, gold, and pink melt together in a slow, rhythmic pattern, like a Turner painting come to life. Looking down, the earth seems two-dimensional as the grassy cliff edge stretches out and the still coastline juxtaposes the moving water. As she glides through the air, wings rarely beating, the gull admires the tranquil coastal landscape. Whilst the sun begins to set, it appears to submerge beneath the waves as it lowers itself from the clear blue sky into the rosy sea. On land, not a single man-made structure or road can be seen. Nature has claimed this island for its own. Flying higher than any other bird, the only sound the gull can hear is that of the rushing wind. Below her, the colony of other gulls, fulmars and kittiwakes circle the coastline, merely moving white dots from the gull's perspective. The calm movement of the tide is occasionally disturbed by quiet splashes and subsequent rippling as gannets cascade head first into the water. Their long, pale necks and folded, streamlined wings allow them to drop into the water with grace. The birds hunt their evening supper in the warm light of the setting sun, as the moon slowly transpires in the sky, overseeing the oscillation of the tide. Our gull begins to descend slowly, noting how smaller details below come into focus. The grassy crest of the cliff no longer seems static. Instead, it waves like the water below, as the breeze rustles the verdure. Above the land, swallows and house martins swoop and soar and sweep through the sky, twisting their agile bodies and balancing the air with their long forked tails. The sound of the gull colony grows in volume the further she descends. Soon the whistling of the wind is overpowered by the chortling of herring gulls and the short, sharp chirps of the house martins. As the gull approaches the cliff's edge, she moves out of the way of a pair of ravens that coast gracefully along the grassy verge. Their sleek black wingtips stroke the air and command the attention of the other birds. In the light of the setting sun, their large shadows are cast onto the white chalk of the cliff face, like silent ghosts of the island. At night, when the cries of the seabirds dwindle to sleepy whines, the deep croaking of the ravens can be heard from across the island. After breezing past the pair of ravens, the gull floats down to land on the grassy clifftop. The island is a safe haven for the seabirds, free from humans and predators such as foxes, stoats, or snakes. So there is no concern when coming into land. In summer, the island is a patchwork of colour. The cool lilac carpet of heather is sprinkled with the deep magenta of vetch and canary trefoil flowers. Resting her wings, the gull must watch her step to avoid the holes that occur sporadically across the island. These burrows are not those of hares or rabbits, as one might suspect. On hearing a quiet murmur beneath the soil, the gull peers down into the hole and is greeted by the dark, downy face of a puffling, the name given to the chick of the puffin. Startled slightly, the gull retreats and is faced with the parent puffin returning from a fishing trip. The iconic bill of the puffin is coloured as if a painting of the landscape, with the deep blue contrasting the vibrant red, as if it were the setting sun descending into the cool waves below the skyline. The puffin has a strange kind of beauty, with its striking bill and vibrant orange feet, designed for propelling them through the water and digging their burrows on land. The small bird waddles past the gull and down into its burrow to deliver the silvery sand eels draped through its bill. Looking out to sea, the gull notices a large figure on the tide, shrouded in a white haze of gulls as they flock around it. Walking to the edge of the cliff where soft grass meets chalky cliff, she jumps off, spreading her graceful white wings to catch a current of air. Diving down with her wings stretched wide, the gull picks up pace as the cliff and its inhabitants become a blur, and the wind overpowers the sound of the birds. As the shingle below grows rapidly closer, she twists her wings with expert agility to pull herself back into the air, and with 3 bold wing beats, she rises back up high. The noise of the wind battles with the crashing of the water, as all other sounds are drowned out by the elements, and her nostrils fill with salty sea spray. This doesn't faze our gull, as her beak is specially adapted to flush out the saline water. The waves sparkle with the rose-gold reflections of the sun before plunging into deep emerald and indigo as they roll to pull back again. As she cruises smoothly above the sea, the shadowed object on the horizon becomes clear. It is a fishing vessel, lined with barnacles and adorned in seaweed. Her fellow gulls and terns circle the boat, eagerly awaiting the small fry that are occasionally thrown overboard by the skilled sailor. He throws a net that drops into the water with barely any trace. It's large enough to make his trip worthwhile, but also small enough to make his ventures sustainable for the local ecology. The sailor stands on the hull of the boat in a smart white shirt, ironed black trousers which are folded into his khaki green Wellington boots, and he smiles as he looks to the shore of the island. From here, the large island seems to stand alone. The tiny puffins cannot be seen, and the white gulls nesting on the cliff blend into the chalk. The only clue to life is the white cloud descended around the top of the island, which, in reality, is a busy flock of gannets circling the water around the shore. Watching the hunting gannets reminds the gull that she too should search for her final food of the day. She flies once about the fishing boat and above the head of the kind sailor before heading back in the direction of the island. As she flies above the water, she notices the shadow of a shoal of fish darting through the waves. This is a perfect supper for the gull, so she dives into the water. The fish disperse and reform in synchronized fashion, swimming up, down, and around in avoidance of the gull's hungry beak. As they twist and turn, the rays of sun that refract below the waves catch the scales of the fish and give them an iridescent radiance. Despite the agility and formation of the fish, the gull doesn't leave disappointed. And with a crop full of nutritious fish, she embarks on her final flight towards the shore. This time, the gull approaches the cliff face not from above, but rather from the bottom, skimming over the waves and towards the stony shoreline. She is greeted by the cormorants that nest between the rocks and shingle, unthreatened by any predatory animals, with their majestic black wings stretched out to dry, like angels guarding the island. Unfazed by the gull's arrival, the cormorants chatter amongst themselves and their rather large fluffy chicks that fumble on the shore. With a powerful beat of her wings, the gull rises above them at almost a right angle up the cliff face. Once again, her ears ring with the echoing laughs between her neighboring seabirds and their mates. The sky is getting darker now, as the sun's rays fade into the horizon and are outshone by those of the full moon. It doesn't matter now, as the gull reaches her nest, tucked into a cozy hole in the soft chalk. Inside, her own chicks are resting, white and downy, with eager, hungry eyes awaiting their supper, which the gull dutifully delivers. With full stomachs and a warm, soft nest, the gull and her chicks settle down for the night, as the waves lull them into a deep, peaceful sleep by the delicate light of the moon.